99% of you need to know these lost Pokemon facts. Let's go. Did you know that there are multiple Junichi Masuda Easter eggs in Diamond and Pearl? So most of you know Junichi Masuda as the longtime director of multiple Pokemon games, but there are multiple different Easter eggs for him in Diamond and Pearl. The most known one, of course, is the snow, the sparkling snow. However, did you know that on specific days like Masuda's birthday, you can actually get an increase by 10% to the encounter rate in the game? It is, for example, if it takes you an average of 139 steps to get 10 encounters, when it's Masuda's birthday, it will actually bump up by 10% of a bonus, and you get 10 encounters with only 110 steps, give or take. Not a massive or significant amount, but still something. Did you know that in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, there is a small hidden feature that is easily missed and overlooked? But if a Pokemon is just about to level up from the current battle it is in, the Pokeball on the bottom screen, like where you see your party, will actually do a little shaking animation to indicate that it's going to level up if the battle it's currently in is a victorious one. Did you know that one of the rarest but also one of the hardest to get shiny Pokemon is found in a Pokemon game which can't really be accessed anymore? I'm talking about Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire's demo version. This was released as a quick taste test for the full games, and in the demo you do special missions, which don't take too long to complete or even interact with. However, some people wanted to shiny hunt the available Pokemon, but unfortunately for anyone that tried, they wouldn't find a single one, since the only Pokemon that have shiny textures in the demo is Metagross. But you can still shiny hunt 3 specific Pokemon, that being the starter options Grovyle, Marshtomp, and Combuskin. But if you get a shiny one, they won't actually look shiny when you look at their sprite, but they will have a tiny red star in their summary screen that proves they are shiny. Truly some really forgotten and weird shiny Pokemon that are difficult to get. Did you know the first Pokemon to be distributed in a Cherish Ball, which wasn't possible to get any other way, was Tropius back in Gen 4. It's known as the Shokutan Tropius and was given away at Pokemon Center stores in Japan. They even made a reference to the Cherish Ball Tropius in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl by having an Ace Trainer who uses a Tropius with a Cherish Ball. Did you know that in the Japanese version of Pokemon Colosseum, if you have the bonus disc, you can go to Agate Village and purify and heal 48 of your Pokemon, and if this is completed, you can encounter Celebi in the Japanese version. But there is also an English version as well. However, this one was left unavailable to actually receive. However, there is a method to go about it. You will need to do some tricks to unlock the special menu from the bonus disc content, and this will allow you to trigger the same event to take place. This Celebi is actually supposed to be possible to get shiny as well, but they sort of left that out and only left that option for distribution events later down the line. Did you know that the gym badges used to give you boosts to specific stats? Yeah, back in the day, and especially in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, the gym leaders that you defeat would actually reward you with a different source of stat boost based on the badge. This one is easily overlooked, but these are some of the boosts, however. Roxanne increases your attack stat. Watson's badge boosts your speed. Norman boosts your defense, which kind of makes sense with what kind of Pokemon he uses, and Tate and Lisa increase your special stats, which also makes sense considering the kind of Pokemon that the two of them use. Did you know that in Pokemon Black and Pokemon White, if you head to Humilao City, there is a house which if you enter it and talk to the lady found inside, she will ask you if you would like to walk her dear Mienfo around. This is a super random thing, but you can help her out and walk the Mienfo all around the house, but if you quit walking with it too early, she'll be angry, and you aren't allowed to also take it outside because she will complain. However, if you eventually have walked for a long enough time, she will be satisfied with your work and she will thank you, and she will also give you a pearl in exchange for the help. Super random. If you trade Shiny Gyarados from Gen 2 all the way to Gen 1 and teach it the move Mimic, you can get Shiny Ditto. Now, if you use Mimic, you'll receive Transform, while Ditto will use Transform in the first turn, and if it does use Transform again, it copies the stats of the Pokemon that it's transformed into permanently, as shinies are tied to the stats in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and having the same stats will also mean that if it has the same stats as Gyarados, it will be shiny. This is super useful if you're breeding shinies in Gen 2, and definitely comes in handy if you just want to have a shiny Ditto nonetheless. Did you know that poison types can't poison steel types? Well, yeah, of course, you know that, but it's not totally true. In Generation 2, there is a way to poison Steel-type Pokemon and other poison types, actually. It is possible to do this due to the move Twin Needle, which had the ability to poison and Steel-type Pokemon all the time. But here is another crazy effect. If your Pokemon was holding a King's Rock while using the move, there's also a chance that on the final strike, it can cause the target to flinch. So yeah, Twin Needle was kind of crazy. It could poison Steel types and poison types, and possibly even cause flinching. Did you know there is a reference to the Pokemon manga in Gold and Silver? If you take on Trainer Red up on Mount Silver, we will usually have this regular team, but there will be one difference in his squad that will be kind of odd, and that would be the inclusion of Espeon. Normally this wouldn't make much sense and Lapras would be more appropriate, but the reason for this is because Red is meant to be using event Pokemon or important Pokemon from the original games, such as Pikachu, Snorlax, and basically all the starter Pokemon, and Lapras also fits in here because it's an event Pokemon. However, Espeon was only available on his team because it kind of served as a sort of event Pokemon due to Eevee being found in Celadon City that you receive, but also because Red in the manga used Espeon. They kind of skip this later down the line and don't give him Espeon anymore. Did you know that in Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, there are actual animations for all of the berries when they're growing? So yeah, might sound a bit weird, but they added animations to show the progress of the berries going from a small sprout all the way to a flower, and finally full on a bush filled with berries. And when this happens, the berries will actually flash and sparkle for 1 to 2 seconds as well. Small details, but they definitely add to the experience of these games. Did you know that in Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Pokemon Crystal, if you go around and use the move Headbutt on different trees during nighttime, the Pokemon which fall down will actually be asleep? But not always. Pokemon like Hoot Hoot will be awake still because it makes sense, it's an owl, they're awake at night. However, this is still a cool little feature and it makes the whole world feel more alive. Did you know you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more facts videos? Did you know there is a held item that was exclusive to the second generation of Pokemon and it was called the Berserk Gene? It was only obtained by looking outside of where Cerulean Cave's entrance would be in Kanto, except it won't be there anymore. Crazy thing with this specific item is that it will actually activate as soon as the holder of the item enters battle, and it will actually inflict confusion, similar to Swagger, on the user, but also boost the user's attack sharply by 2 stages, and also consuming the item once used, so it will be totally gone. Now, this item has not been seen since, and was only really referenced one time in Detective Pikachu, where it was part of the drug known as R, which momentarily made some Pokemon more powerful, but also caused them to go a little bit berserk. Did you know raids spawned from promotional Dynamax crystals in, of course, Pokemon Sword and Shield can actually be shiny? And unlike all the other raids that are found in Sword and Shield, these ones can't be manipulated via date skipping, so you can't just skip the dates to make sure that you can just keep trying to get a shiny. Instead, they're gonna be at the regular 1 in 4,096 odds, with no way to reset other than starting a new save file and playing all the way back to the point at which you can play raids, and having to acquire also a new promo code to get another crystal. These are basically the most rarest shinies almost in existence because getting one is pure 1 in 4,096 chance, and if you don't get it on that first try, that's it. You have to make a whole new save file to try again. Incredibly rare, incredibly insanely rare to get. Did you know the grass in Moto Stoke's gym can actually give shiny Pokemon? But unlike other grass encounters, they have a 15 out of 16 chance of being a star shiny instead of the standard 65,521 out of 65,536 chance of being a square shiny. They also have 3 perfect IVs, are unaffected by the shiny charm, and are immune to being synchronized. The only other non-legendary encounter to share this exact property is a one-timed Impidimp encounter you can get in the Glimwood Tangle. Did you know you can cut the grass on the overworld? Well, that's pretty well known, but there is a little detail that not many people do know about, which is that if your Pokemon that is doing the cutting has the ability Hyper Cutter, it can actually cut a larger area of grass This is only possible in Pokemon Emerald, however, and allows you to remove larger swaths of grass, so it's much easier to make progress through the different routes.